It sounds like Faye has really got his work cut out for him, huh? And did you see how savage Caddy was? It seems like he's quite the strict teacher. It's cool to see how their dynamic works now that they can finally interact together. And that's why in today's video we'll be designing the dialogue system so we as the player can interact and talk with different characters in the game world. We'll be designing the dialogue UI, fleshing out some concept art so we can make the character portraits, and then showcasing the system with all the assets we made. But before we continue, thank you to everyone who watched the previous episode. Caddy's tea service has never reached so many people, so thank you for all of the lovely comments about Caddy. I'm really happy you guys liked his design, and I read every single comment, and I've even started using some of your suggestions, like trying out Ace Sprite for the first time, which I'll definitely talk about more in the next episode. But thanks again for all of the support, it really meant the world to me. And without further ado, let's get started. When it comes to making the dialogue user interface, it's important that it matches the overall game's aesthetic, so that it fits with the world that you're making. Up until this point, I've only been using pixel art within the game, so I don't want to go overboard with the design or the coloring so that it matches the simplicity of the pixel art. I wanted to use wood for the borders because throughout the game, there's a lot of wooden structures and furniture, so it's the perfect material to use. There's also a lot of traditional pieces of furniture mixed with some modern furniture, and this creates a cozy, homely feeling while also being a little bit more refined. So I decided to add some ornate detailing on some of the corners so that it would elevate the design. And you can blame The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for my love of random soupy soups. Since this game is all about tea, I knew I wanted some of the UI to more specifically reflect that. So when it came to the speaker's name tags, I wanted them to resemble the tags connected to tea bags, which usually labels the flavor of the tea. And I thought it was really cute to think of everybody as a little tea flavor. As for the options, I just made them a longer version of the name tags. And I really wanted to incorporate the string more into these designs by looping it through the different tags, but it stuck out too much in a messy way. And it's always a little bit harder to add a large asymmetrical accessory to an overall symmetrical and organized format. So I just created a bow out of the string on the first option and called it a day. I also made this simple continue icon, which will let the player know that the typewriter effect has completed, which is basically when a section of dialogue has been fully displayed. Now that we've got the structure for the dialogue done, we need some portraits. Who should we pick? Caddy did get a lot of screen time in the last video. Okay, let's go with Faye. Up until this point, you guys have seen Faye in every single video, but I haven't talked much about him at all. So today, I'm gonna uncover this mysterious human. Faye is an OG. Like, this was him when I first designed him. I still really like this outfit, but for a more casual day. Because he is a working tea apprentice, I wanted to highlight that and make the clothing look more formal, like a suitable uniform. When researching, I found that in some fancy restaurants, the waiters wear these cravat ties, and I thought it looked very elegant, so I added it to his uniform. To accompany this accessory, I could have given him a normal dress shirt to make it clear that he's wearing a uniform. But why would I do that when puff sleeves exist? They literally make any outfit more whimsical. Like, how can attest to this? He knows what's up. Fashion icon. It also gives the design a more cozy feeling by softening up his silhouette, which is perfect for a cozy tea game. Oh, and I gave him some arm guards because we can't forget that he's still a warrior fighting for his life against manifested ingredients. I also embroidered some flower and leaf patterns to different parts of his outfits to symbolize the ingredient aspect of making tea. I did originally give him a blazer, but it didn't really translate well in pixel art. Having too many clothing pieces can make the character look less visible. This is because the excess of fabric disrupts the silhouette, making their movements harder to see. And for lower resolution designs, it's better to keep the shapes more simple to get better readability on the character. At first I was really bummed out because I was like, how will it look like a uniform without the blazer? But I think the cravat ties, suspenders and waist vest really helps carry that uniform look on its own. Now that I have his design, I need to make some concept art so that I can really flesh out his personality and how he would express different emotions so I can channel that into his portrait. Faye is a pretty relaxed person, so I wanted to give him a chill standard pose, nothing too flashy. After he joined Caddy's tea service, he does have to be around Caddy 24/7, so he has to deal with his big personality, laziness and bratty behavior quite often. So I wanted to make sure I captured an emotion where it looked like he was just over it. So I crossed his arms to show that he's grumpy, and I closed his eyes to make it look like he was using every ounce of his willpower to maintain composure. But as we all know, Caddy is Faye's teacher at the end of the day, so he has no no choice but to listen to him. So I made this emotion that's like, yeah, okay, fine. I guess I'll make you some relax tea at 2 AM to help you sleep, even though I want to go back to bed and I told you not to drink any caffeinated tea at 5 PM, but you wouldn't listen to me, so now we both have to suffer. Kind of face. I then drew a smiling face because I was kind of stumped on what to draw next. I was like in a little rut. But honestly, you won't see Faye smiling that often. One of Faye's big personality traits is that he usually stays really composed through any situation. But that all comes to an end when he drinks some grape juice, because that's his favorite drink and has the best flavor, you know? So I wanted to create these really silly expressions that's a complete 180 from his character, just to show that he's really letting loose and just having a lot of fun. It really shows that carefree nature that he doesn't really show in his everyday life. For the last expression, I wanted to show what it would look like if Faye was happy. As I said earlier, he's not really a smiler, so I made this more reserved, pleased face. I gave him the slightest upturned mouth to indicate somewhat of a smile, but the happiness is mostly showed in his eyes instead. Faye's personality contrasts Caddy's a lot, as he has more responsibilities and duties to fulfill. He has a pretty tough exterior and tends to butt heads with Caddy's more carefree, playful nature. With the concept art done, we can finally render out his portraits. Before joining Caddy's tea service, Faye had to work tirelessly in many different types of jobs to make ends meet, so he's grown some pretty tough skin due to all the shenanigans he had to deal with at work. He's a really hard worker and doesn't expect much in return. His top priority is just to take care of his sister because he loves her dearly and doesn't want any harm to happen to her. Faye's a pretty reserved person as he likes to save his energy for work, which was a lifestyle that he adopted due to all the responsibilities he had to take on. However, the one thing that can shake his composure is the ones that he holds closest to him, as he can become quite impulsive if it means protecting the ones he loves. He has a pretty nonchalant personality and just goes with the flow, as over time he's developed a pretty pessimistic outlook, as it's mostly been him working tirelessly and he can barely remember his aspirations and dreams he once used to have. This concludes the introduction I have for Faye. I still have a lot of the speed paint left. I personally like watching speed paints, so I'm gonna play the rest, but if you guys want to skip to the next part, you can. In total, I made 2 portraits, neutral and bothered. Faye is quite a reserved character, so I didn't feel the need to make too many expressions. So for now, I think this is a good amount of expressions for him. The last episode was solely devoted to designing Caddy, and I go into a lot of detail with his character making process. If you're interested to find out more about him, I'll add a card up here where you can watch it. Since I've already covered a lot of his personality, I think now's the perfect time to go deeper into his lore. Once upon a time, there was a forager who lived in an era where sicknesses were a mystery and cures were sparse. Desperate to help his people and loved ones, he used his skills to gather different plants and spend every waking hour he could to unveil the secrets of these natural ingredients and their beneficial properties. He exercised his research in the form of making tea, meticulously crafting recipes to suit each different illness. Over the years, he had grown an incredible reputation for helping people in his town recover. However, he knew that he would soon grow old, but his ambitions were growing larger, wanting to help those outside of his little town. So he went on a journey where he sailed through stormy seas, climbed dangerous mountains, and traveled through ferocious woods to gather all of the ingredients he needed. He found ingredients that he could never imagined existed. With these gathered ingredients, he planned to make one of his most ambitious projects yet. He knew the potential of these ingredients and the powers they held. So with these ingredients and a touch of magic, he created Caddy, a cat that would serve for millennia, who he taught everything he knew about tea. Caddy carried out his legacy and taught generations of tea apprentices who eventually became tea masters. He even opened a tea shop to broaden his reach, and it has only grown and improved, making the Caddy's tea service we know today. The end. In total, I drew 3 different portraits for Caddy: neutral, happy, and sad. Now that all the portraits are done, we've got everything we need to make the dialogue system, so let's check it out in game. In order for the dialogue system to show up, we need someone to interact with, so I turned Caddy into an NPC. When I walk to him and get in close proximity, this speech bubble symbol will appear, indicating that I can interact with him. When I press Z, the dialogue will be initiated. Yeah, you can see the character portraits, my favorite part. As you can see, the dialogue is written, and you can press Z to continue it. Whenever there's a question asked to the player, options will appear. Question is, did you enjoy watching this video? I may be a bit biased, but I did. I don't think I could post this video if I didn't. And based on my option, Caddy's portrait changes to reflect his emotion. Look at him, so happy. Look how cute he is. Okay, let's go through the dialogue again and press no just to see how the dialogue is. Oh no, he's sad. I'm sorry, Caddy. And he said K raises middle. Oh, Caddy, you did not just. So that concludes the showcase, and that's all for today's video. What did you guys think about the character portraits? It feels pretty surreal seeing Faye and Caddy talking together, like they're actually alive in the world now. Faye's design has come quite a long way. There was a point where I participated in Inktober 2021, so here are some really early illustrations of him and his old outfit. I also did some fun ones where I shoved him into a bunny hoodie. I also shoved him into a beret, which I think he didn't like too much. Man, I would just love to make a bunch of different outfits that Faye can wear, but I have to be responsible and focus on the mandatory things for the game first, and the outfits can come later, I guess, if I have time. Currently, I'm not completely set on Faye's name, so if you guys have any suggestions now that you guys have a better understanding of his personality and backstory, I would love to hear any ideas for his name. I kind of just went with Faye because it's kind of like a magical name, like Faye Fairies, but I'm completely open to other suggestions because I don't think I'm completely sold on it yet. In the next episode, we'll be trying to make the game feel a lot more like a game by creating a level score sheet and new enemy spawning animations to make the world feel a little bit more magical. So if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like. If you have any ideas or feedback, or if you guys just like the portraits, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think of them. For more content, subscribe to the channel and ring that bell to get the latest updates of everything Caddy's Tea service. And that's all for today. Bye bye!